Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Finance and Accounting Show. And one of the things that I talk about a lot, and if you've seen some of my videos, that video I did about, when to fire your accountant, it is because you want to make sure that you are working with the right professional. And one organization that has connections and is really helping professionals in the accounting and finance space really think about how to be a much better accounting partner for their business clients and really helping businesses think differently about how to manage the profit in their business. So stay tuned for today's awesome episode. So without further ado, let me bring on my amazing guest, Ron. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Terrell. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, one of the things that I will say is a lot of people have heard the term, profit first, and it's become, a lot of people read the book. So I'm definitely interested to jump into that. But before we do, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your story?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm a business guy, a sales guy, an operational type of guy. But I did grow up on grandmother's envelope budgeting methodology, where, whenever grandmother would get a little bit of money, she put a quarter into one envelope for food, a quarter in for rent, a quarter in for charity. And so I kind of grew up on that. And so I was always the kid that always had money available when I was working. I'd be able to save it. And so it's pretty funny. I also used to share that budgeting methodology with my lacrosse teammates in college. Then after college, I worked as an investigator for the Public Defender Service, felony ones, murder, rapes, arsons, did that for a little bit, then joined a large staffing firm, Aerotech, in the early 90s, did that for a while, was recruited in a couple other boutique IT staffing firms. All along, my good friend Mike Michalowicz, who's the author of Profit First, and I have been communicating over the years about starting something. But it wasn't until his book, Profit First, that he was writing it. And we connected, and he says, "Hey, you got to read this book." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So I read his manuscript. It was awesome. And he's like, "Hey, I want to build a company together." So I said, "All right, let's do it." And so in 2014, we formed Profit First Professionals to support the teachings in Mike's book, Profit First.
Nice, nice. One of the things that I think that is probably it's an interesting, or I would say an ironic point for a lot of, finance and accounting professionals is that they very much understand their craft, but they really don't understand business. And
No.
so
Right, right. Well, it's funny, Terrell. I was watching a few of your other episodes, and whether it's a doctor, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's an accountant, a bookkeeper, a coach, they're great at their crafts, but no one's really teaching them how to run the business aspects of it. And accountants, they're great at the compliance. They're great at various different things, but there's been a little bit of lost advisory over the years in the commoditization of the accounting world, driven by the large software houses. But what we're seeing right now is, and it's been going on for a little bit, of a revolution where, no one really wants to work with their grandfather's accountant. They want to work with guys like you who are progressive, guys like you who are proactive, and that genuinely want to be intimate with their business customers. And when I mean intimate, I'm talking about having frequency conversations, not just about how the kids are doing, but hey, how's your business performing? Are you making enough money? What are you looking to achieve? What are you looking to, eliminate? And so right now, and that's what's going on in the industry. So you're seeing a lot of firms really moving towards CAS, client advisory services, but that gap is still very long. Most of it's probably about 20% in firms, which means 80% are doing the compliance. And so we want to work with those firms that not only are great at compliance, but also have the bandwidth and the time where they can strategically help grow companies.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that that is an amazing point because one of the common things that I hear, come up a lot for business owners is, where they may have a compliance type of accountant that supports their business and says, "Hey, you made XYZ profit for the year." And the first question in the client or the business owner's mind is usually, "Well, where did the money go?"
Where'd the money go? Right. So it happens every day. It's happened to me in the past before where I would sit down with my accountant, we get the financials, we review them, and it'd say I have a profit. And then, what do you mean I have a profit? That doesn't match up to my bank account. I mean, that's what us entrepreneurs do. We look at our bank accounts every day and then we make decisions. And so, it's difficult to actually change. And so that's what the profit first methodology actually does, is work with the human behavior. Many of it call it the Rosetta Stone that bridges accounting talk and entrepreneurial talk. It's actually a system. It's not accounting. It's not bookkeeping. It is a cash flow system that resides in between financials, which are great historical documents, and forecasting, which is a plan. But profit first is how you allocate your money. And a couple of things that makes it important is that profit first is not all about profit, Terrell. It's about, one, the business owner paying themselves first, if not more. Two, reserving a war chest of cash for Uncle Sam, regardless of what your liabilities are. Three, a focus on profit. Okay. Even if that profit is 3.5%, the end user of profit first can pay down debt if they have it. They can celebrate the health of the company. They can be philanthropic, charitable, or they can hire. And so when we have this system where sales minus expenses equal profit, that's what we were all taught. Sell, manage your expenses, and whatever you have is the leftover. The leftover. What? But if with profit, I can do all these great things. Why should it be the leftover? Shouldn't it be more important than an afterthought? Because what comes first is important. What comes last is an afterthought. McAllowitz, Mike, right? He stinks at kickball. He was always picked last, right? Why would we be doing that all our lives, growing businesses and saying profit is last, profit is last, profit is last? So the profit first methodology is sales minus profit equal expenses. Sell. Take your owner's pay, take your tax, take your profit, run the business on everything else.
Nice, nice. I love it. It's something interesting that I tell a lot of businesses because I think I spent probably the first half of my career in more accounting and kind of financial reporting for Fortune 500 companies, and
Right.
whenever I had to read analyst reports when I worked in investor relations, there's so much attention placed on the top line of, hey, how's your business doing on sales, and not as much looking at the profit line of the business. So when people leave, I guess you would say, big business or Fortune 500 land, and they start running their own business, I think if you're missing that profit focus, it tends to bring up a lot of challenges in your business. So one of the things that I'm curious is, as you guys work with firms that do compliance, so you're helping other accounting professionals start to make that mental transition, what does that journey usually look like for them?
Yeah, the transition, it is truly a transition and a transformation. And sometimes the bridge is a little longer than others. But one of the things is that all of our accounting firms have to adopt and run profit first in their business. It's mandatory. They have to experience it. They have to open the bank accounts. They have to go through all of it. Next is we really sit with them and teach them how to implement profit first in any business, whether it's a startup, right? And they have to overcome the doctrine of sacrifice, or a $25 million company where the guy's been doing the same thing for the past 30 years, or even, a $50 million law firm with multiple partners. And so while profit first is so conceptually simple, The devils are in the details. So we spend a lot of time teaching and educating our members on the nuances of the implementation of profit first. Then what we do is we work with them on collaborating their profit first service offerings, weaving it into their current offerings that they have. We take them to value pricing if they're interested in doing that. But we also teach what I call value starts at hello. Okay. And what this is, it's a different experience that we want to provide the prospect, right? We want them to hang up the phone and say, holy cow, that was great. This is going to be expensive, but why is that? Because it's going to be worth it. And so experiencing profit first in their business, practicing profit first, building it out, pricing it, then sharing that you're one of the select few in America that is actually certified in this methodology. And so we created membership, not to push the book, not to push membership, but to help our members share the value and the benefits of working with them. And how that plays out, Terrell, a lot of people say, hey, read this book. It's a great book. I'm doing it in my business. And that's cool. And that's great. But you're just giving somebody work to do. They really don't want to do work, right? And quite honestly, I don't care what book you're reading. But what's more impactful is if you, as the expert, the accounting firm, the CFO, the bookkeeping firm, the coach says, hey, Terrell, I noticed you haven't been paying yourself consistently, or that you don't have profit, or your expenses are out of control. Would you be interested in knowing the methodology that I use in my own firm? Yes. We want to share with our customers what we're doing because they're putting us on a pedestal. That beautiful room you have there, the nice wall I have here, they're put us on pedestals. They want to know what we're doing in our business, not what conference we're going to, what book we're doing. Then you share the methodology and say, oh, by the way, you anchor it to the book and say, here's a million copy book translated into X amount of languages. And I'm one of the select few. So it really is a membership, and the certification is just the launch phase of everything that we have going on.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. I think that it is great, the approach that you guys have taken, because it's one of those things. I've come across people who have read the book, but without being, I guess you would say, in an environment to interact and ask questions, discuss, what they got from the book. People who just kind of read it in passing don't get as much as talking with someone who's read it, someone who's living it and breathing it, and that dialogue. Because when I read the book, I will say it was a definite, I was like, this is a very different way of looking at it from where we've been trained.
Absolutely. And you know what? Half of the accounting world hates it, but because a lot of it is unknown, right? A lot of it is new. And, we're like I said earlier, this isn't accounting. It's not bookkeeping. And that's where we have to step out of that compliance and reframe our mindset that says, my accountant, Keith, I have 25 bank accounts at 5 different banks. He doesn't care how many bank accounts I have, what I'm calling my bank accounts or anything like that. All he cares is that I'm able to push money into our tax strategy, and he's carving it all up. It's technically, to a guy like you, Terrell, it's all owners pay. Right? So let's figure out how we can help the business owner, because this was created for entrepreneurs, business owners, not for accountants. That's why there's a little bit of all these accounts, Ron, you're crazy.
So, with that, I'm very interested in, the idea of, so the book, and first Mike lived the concept, then, wrote the manuscript in the book. You guys started Profit First Professionals. What was it like building the Profit First Professionals, business around these concepts? What was that journey like of really kind of building a business around, this amazing concept?
It was scary. No doubt about it. I quit my job in Manhattan. Next minute, I know I'm working in the basement of a house, and it's just 2 guys. And we've got a great idea, okay, but we don't know how it's going to be received, We don't know if it's going to be a flop. We don't know, but hey, this stuff works. So what we did, I mean, we had a very simple landing page. We have a story. A book was coming out, and so when the book was released, we just started calling accounting firms and saying, "Hey, listen, I'd like to introduce you to this concept, this book. This is what we have going on. We're not sure how it's going to be received. We feel like we're Washington's army going against the British, the establishment. We're two guys, and hey, if this takes off, great, awesome. What do you think?" And so, we started that in August 2014. By September, we had 8 firms, the original 8. 6 of them are still with us, and they've helped us grow the firm. Each year, the members that we have provide us with ideas and inspirations to be the company we are today. And, it's because of our members and their want for us to succeed and their want for their customers succeed that now we're considered the largest brand on small business profitability globally. But Terrell, it was scary. You know that. I mean, walking away from a job. But here's the thing. This is the beauty. We implemented profit first by the letter of the book from day one. I've never had to worry about how am I going to pay myself? How am I going to be profitable? How am I going to manage my expenses? All I had to do is knowing that I have a system behind me that was going to take care of that. All I had to do was serve my customers in a way that they would be happy to provide me with revenue. Okay. Then, so servicing them, getting the revenue in, the system took care of how that revenue is going to be allocated to make sure that we are paying ourselves, we are profitable, we are doing this. So over the past 8 years, I've just been looking forward at growing the business, knowing that I've got a system, a scalable system that is helping me. And the relief and the focus that I've had and other businesses have had, because they're not worrying about how am I going to make payroll? How am I going to pay myself? They're focusing on their business, focusing on their staff, focusing on their customers.
That's amazing because I think that most business owners don't realize that there are so many things that they're going to have to wrap their mind around. The more systems you can put in place around things and let the process run it, the less painful it will be because, like I said, you have a proven process behind it. So as you start to introduce, those firms to it, what was some of the feedback the firms gave you, or of like, how did they react to what you were helping them understand?
Yeah, a lot of uneducating we had to do. A lot of this is ridiculous. You don't need all those bank accounts. Just read your financials correct and move forward. A lot of it was, hey, what do I do? How do I do this? What am I actually doing? And so, that was the biggest struggle, was once the compliance aspect of accounting and bookkeeping is done, what are the conversations that you're having with your business customer? There's a huge gap in that. And so that's where our curriculum comes on in, and that bridges the gap to talk about profit, right? To talk about, hey, if the business had afforded you more money, what would you do with that money? Well, I would have put more away for retirement. Okay, great. Well, let's create a way how we can have money for you to put into retirement. Right. And so with that's another account, not a 401k. And we're going off script here. But what we're going to do is, if that's important to you more than profit, more than owner's pay, well, then I'm going to make sure that that's there and that we are together working on accomplishing your needs. Now, if you want to, have another location, great. Let's do that. If you're looking to hire, let's talk about hiring strategies. Let's get involved with the business customer. And so helping our members make that move to actually be comfortable. Your other interview, had an interview a couple episodes ago about imposter syndrome, big time imposter syndrome. I faced it. Everybody faces it because this is new. But because we're practicing, because we're holding hands, because we're stronger together than as individuals, this thing is taken off. And we have over 600,000 implementations of Profit First globally in so many different countries. It's unbelievable because it works. It's a pay yourself first system.
That is awesome. I think that is amazing just to see, and hear the stories of people who are making that mental transformation. And, it's one of those things that I tell people is that no one starts a business because they just want to make a ton of revenue.
Right.
It's just like, if that's why you start a business, then I would say we probably need to rethink some things. Like, profit is one of those big motivators, but people don't place enough attention on it.
Right, right. And so I mean that's the thing is that our mission is to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And that's a lofty goal, but we're doing it one business at a time. But because the axiom, the world is flat, sales minus expenses equal profit is an axiom, we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. And here's the thing, the simplest thing that your audience can do to get this thing going, to start paying themselves or start being profitable, go down to the bank and open up one bank account. Go open one additional bank account and allocate 1% into that bank account. Okay. And the only thing you can use that money for is to pay yourself or as your profit. Okay. Right. Then you start building your profit first muscle memories. You start adding percentages. Very much like the 401k, right? The 401k, when that first came out, I didn't put 15% of it. My wife didn't put 15%. We did 3, then 7. Then after 3 years, I'm like, holy cow, Mary, can you believe that we're living the same lifestyle with 30% of our top line going out the door? Why is that? We're removing the temptation to spend it. We're putting penalties in place to get it early. That's what Profit First is doing. It's working with human behaviors.
That I love it. I love it. So if someone is interested in, learning more about Profit First Professionals, where can they find you guys online?
Sure. Well, I'm all over social. You just Google my name. I'm probably the only Ron Saharyan out there besides my father, but they could also go to our website, profitfirstprofessionals.com, learn a little bit more about us. If this is something that somebody's interested in joining and learning out more, great, apply. If somebody's interested in learning more about working with a Profit First professional, there's a form that you can fill out there and our algorithm will match you up with somebody.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. So before we wrap up, one question I always love asking every guest that comes on it was, what is 2 pieces of advice that you would share with business owners? And it can be something you've already said that you want to reiterate or 2 completely new points.
Yeah, sure. So no, thank you for this opportunity. But one of the things, what credo to live by, and I teach this, whether it's at college, whether it's at high school, whether it's talking to another business owner, I said to be a rock star person, an employee, an owner, a parent, a teacher, simple. Do what you say you're going to do by when you're going to do it and do it 3% better than expectations. If you do that, you will be a rock star. No doubt about it. That's simple. Do what you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it and do it 3% better than expectations. Simple.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Well, Ron, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on the show today.
Thank you, Terrell. And hey, I got a gift for your audience. For the first 5 people that reach out to you and say, hey, I'd love a copy of that book, Profit First, I'd be more than happy to gift it to them. They have to do is send you their contact information. You send it over to me and I'll gift them a copy of the book.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Finance and Accounting Show. If you like what you heard, don't be selfish. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and then share this with a friend because you know a business owner that could definitely use this insight. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and turn on the notification bell so you get all the updates when we release a new episode.